Every journey has to come to an end, and it was with a tear in my eye and a heavy heart that I put down book 7 in the Dark Tower series, The Dark Tower. I finished it just a couple of days ago. I loved it. I think this is my favorite series of all time. 2024 has become the year of The Dark Tower. I read all of these books, all 7 books in the proper arc of Dark Tower, plus Salem's Lot. I read all of them this year. It's been quite a journey for me. Salem's Lot, incidentally, I would say, in my opinion now, is essential reading as part of the experience. There are some other books that are also worth reading, but Salem's Lot has to be read. So today, I just want to reflect back on that journey that Stephen King took me on with this amazing series. Rank the books from best to worst, from worst to best. Talk about each one briefly. It was an incredible ride. This series, while not exactly science fiction, has a ton of sci-fi elements in it, and I loved each one. But I loved the mixture, the mosaic that Stephen King put together here. The kaleidoscope of ideas, worlds, and themes and genres was really something that appealed to me. These books, I like them all. Every single one amazing in my opinion, but there were better books and worse books. These books are a little bit uneven for sure. I didn't love every single one of them together as a story. However, it's a 5-star, a 10-star, whatever, how many stars you want to give it, read. The themes, the genre bending ideas in this book, from Western setting, the mid-world, to the futuristic sci-fi ideas, robots, artificial intelligence, portal fantasy, or maybe wormholes. It doesn't matter. There are horror elements here. There's great writing. There's poetry. There are languages. It's really an incredible journey. And I have to say, again, thank you to Stephen King, who forever has been one of my favorite authors, but somehow the Dark Tower series has eluded me. The reason for that really was the fact that when I picked up Gunslinger years ago, I didn't like it. In fact, I think I hated it. In fact, I DNF'd it. I couldn't get through it. Well, on the second try, I have changed my mind. The Gunslinger still is definitely not my favorite book in the series. Might be the weakest one, and it's an unusual opening to such a grand, epic tale, because it feels thin. The Gunslinger feels very linear, very thin. The world building is not expansive. So on the second read, I still didn't love the Gunslinger, but I was intrigued. I liked it. I thought it was good. I connected with the Gunslinger, Roland. In my opinion, Gunslinger and The Drawing of the Three could have been one book. No problem there. The end of Gunslinger is the beginning of Drawing of the Three. They could have been put together in one big book. I would have loved that book because I love Drawing of the Three. If I'm gonna be ranking these from worst being on the bottom to best coming out on top, Dark Tower is definitely going to be above Gunslinger. This is where we meet Susannah, one of my all-time favorite characters. Susannah was amazing. What a kick-ass woman. A woman who is handicapped in many ways, mentally and physically, but yet she's a survivor. I loved Susannah. I loved Eddie. Eddie now is an addict who is a reflection of Stephen King's personal struggles, I suppose. Fan-fucking-tastic. I love it. Drawing of the Three. Such an amazing story. The Gunslinger Roland loses things here. The Gunslinger Roland gains things. He gains a family. And that part of the Dark Tower series, I think was one of the most amazing parts. The found family, the quartet when it comes together. Incredible. Now, book 3. Let's move on to book 3. Wastelands. A lot of science fiction aspects here in this book. I really love this book. A 5-star read. There's some epic things happening here. The riddles that we get towards the end of this book, I loved that part. The world building really explodes in this book. It kind of does in book 2, The Drawing of the Three, but it's really not until book 3 that we really see the scope of Stephen King's vision. It's fabulous. It's fabulous the way it weaves all these storylines together in the Wastelands. So where do I put the Wastelands? I'm gonna put the Wastelands underneath Drawing of the Three, but certainly above the Gunslinger. I'm afraid Gunslinger is probably, well, maybe not going to stay towards the bottom. But Drawing of the Three is still my favorite. Wastelands would be second, Gunslinger on the bottom. And now we get to Wizard and Glass. This is a book that may be controversial to some because here the linear, there's some dust. I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, Wizard and Glass. This story shows why the series is a bit uneven. Not everyone is going to like Wizard and Glass. I loved Wizard and Glass. Reason for that is our quest kind of takes a pause and we're going into a frame narrative where Roland sits around and tells everybody his backstory. But guess what? That backstory was incredible. I loved every minute of his story. It was really touching, it was mesmerizing, it was beautifully written. There's a love story there. Right in the middle, book 4, we get a love story that is perhaps my favorite love story of all time. And I have to say, Stephen King writes a good romance because I loved 11/22/63, and one of the strongest things in that story is another love story. Great ending too. So Wizard and Glass, fabulous story, Western vibes, completely different feel than the other books. I loved it. Where is it gonna go? It's gonna go right on top. It's gonna go above Drawing of the Three, although not by that much, because they're both excellent, but I think Wizard and Glass is better than Drawing of the Three. So, Gunslinger, Wastelands, Drawing of the Three, Wizard and Glass. Book 4 is book 1 for me right now. And then we get into Wolves of the Calla. So the story progresses again through the forests of Midworld, but then something happens and things grind to a halt. Our cadet, our found family, realizes that they have to help this community who lives in the Midworld. They have to help them. This is an intriguing story. Again, a slowdown in the progression of the overall plot to some extent, but we meet someone who comes straight out of Jerusalem's lot. And that person is Father Callahan, whom I really enjoyed reading about in both stories. Perhaps here more than here. So, fantastic story, well written again. Some dark themes are creeping in, some interesting things about Susannah. Like I said, one of my favorite characters. Well, of course, I totally forgot. I haven't talked about Oi. Oi is my favorite character. Oi is my favorite animal companion, I guess you'd call him, but he's to me much more than a sidekick, much more than that. He's proven himself through these books. Oi is kind of part like a dog, like a weasel, like who knows. But Oi is so sweet. He loves Jake, they're bonded, and Oi can speak a little bit. Oi understands a lot, and when he speaks, it's just like my heart melts. There's so many emotions that are at play in this series when you really like kind of get into it, sink into this world, and feel like you're one with them as you're reading these. Oi, every time he was on the page, every time he would call out, "Ake!" I loved it, I melted. I have 3 dogs. This was amazing. Anyway, back to Wolves of the Calla. So there's some interesting ideas about robots in this book as well. No spoilers, I hope, but this book was excellent. Now, where am I gonna rank it? All of these books are excellent, of course. So I could say excellent and put it on the very bottom. Would you be shocked by that? Maybe, maybe not. Oh my God, I think, even though this book is excellent, it's definitely below Wizard and Glass. It's gonna go below Drawing of the Three for sure. And now I'm just thinking whether it's below Wastelands or above Wastelands. It's a tough call. It's a tough call. I'm gonna put it below Wastelands. I think I like Wastelands just a little bit more. It was just a little bit stronger. The riddles, fantastic. Even though Wastelands has a controversial ending because it kind of ends on a bit of a cliffhanger, which no problem for me, but I suppose for people who are reading these books as they were coming out, as they were being published, we're like, what the fuck? What is going on now? I have to... No problem for us now. If you're getting into this series just now, you can rest happily. Of course, I should say, before you read, I think I did already, but I'll just repeat it. Before you read Walls of the Calla, that's where you have to read Salem's Lot, Jerusalem's Lot. Strong book. I'm not ranking this one, of course, with all the other ones. This one is kind of a standalone, and you don't have to read it. You will get enough backstory of Father Callahan explained in Wolves of the Calla as he tells his story there, but I think reading the book is well worth it. And to see his journey, which is completely separate up to a point, and then it connects with our cadet, and I say thank you for that. All right, we're on to book 6. We're getting close to the end. Song of Susannah. Another somewhat controversial book for many. I loved it. I think, again, I'm a fan of Susannah's. I love Susannah. This was a challenging book for Susannah, a challenging read for someone who loves Susannah. A lot of dark stuff happens here, but this is one that I read through very quickly. It's a shorter book than most of the other ones, a quick read, and it really sets up the last book. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really good. There are some things that happen here with Stephen King, the author himself, that I'm not gonna get into. Those things are also a bit controversial, but I loved it. I think Stephen King really goes for it, hits a home run for me personally. This isn't going to appeal to everyone, but I really enjoyed it. I loved it. Because of that, I'm gonna put this one, right there, above Walls of the Calla, but just below Wastelands. Obviously below Drawing of the Three, below Wizard and Glass, which is so good. All right, we're continuing. We're getting to the end, guys. Last book in the Dark Tower, The Dark Tower. I just finished this book. I didn't want it to end. I was savoring the last pages, reading them slowly, almost thinking about every sentence as I read it, just to make sure I extract all the essence out of this amazing series. So, where do I rank book 7? First of all, I'll say I love the ending. Not everybody does. I love the ending. I think it was perfect. I kind of figured out what the ending might be, although there are several endings really in this book, and that's also amazing. Several endings here. Some things are left open too. So it's got everything. It's got a proper ending, and it's got things left to the imagination as well, which is amazing. Stephen King, this is his magnum opus. This whole series is, and this is a fitting end. So the only question now for me is this the best book in the series, or is Wizard and Glass better? And honestly, I don't know. It's a toss-up. I'm doing this on the spot. I did not plan this out. I have no clue. I think Wizard and Glass probably is a better book, but I'm gonna say Dark Tower, the last one, is my favorite because of how it made me freaking feel, how I loved the ending, the tear in my eye, the things that happen here, and the fact that Stephen King was able to bring all of this together in a satisfying way makes this my favorite book in the series. It has to be. It has to be because of that, because I was really thinking like, okay, he's gonna fail with the ending, it's gonna suck, most likely I'm not gonna like it, but hey, it's still a great series, right? It's just impossible to really bring it all together in a satisfying end. You want people to live, you want people to die, what is he gonna do? He did it. In my opinion, he did it. Perfect ending. He didn't write it, of course, he would tell you. It wrote itself. I loved it. So I'm gonna rank the last book in the Dark Tower as the best book in the Dark Tower. There it goes. But I'm happy to say, I still have one more to go. This is a non-essential book in the Dark Tower. It was written after the last book, but I'm looking forward to it. The Wind Through the Keyhole is going to be an experience, I think, that I'm gonna savor. I'm gonna take a bit of time, step away from the Dark Tower world, and then pick this up. I probably won't be able to wait too long. It's probably gonna be maybe a month or two, and I'll be back to this amazing series, this amazing world with The Wind Through the Keyhole. So, I guess that's it for me. Tell me, please tell me in the comments below what you think about the Dark Tower series, how you would rank them if you've read all of them. Give me the ranking. I'd love to see how you would rank it. And so yeah, The Dark Tower is now my favorite series of all time, and for that I say thank you.